What up, folks? What's going on? Welcome to episode 66 of the Spun Today podcast. I'm your host, Tony Ortiz. Thank you very much for listening. In this episode, I speak about an important event at my alma mater. I never know how to. I should probably not use words that I don't know how to say. The college I used to go to, alma mater, Super Bowl 51, Project Empathy's virtual reality work, and I also read and reflect on some free writing, which is located at spuntoday.com/free writing. If any of that stuff sounds like something you'd be into, then stick around. So, the important event that I'm referring to, it is, I don't know if you guys remember, I mentioned, new listeners wouldn't know, but anybody that's followed the podcast for some time, a few episodes ago, I mentioned an idea of kind of like a grassroots idea to trying to educate people on how to react to when they get pulled over or confrontations with police officers and stuff like that. This idea mainly came out of the Black Lives Matter movement and police shootings that seemed to be happening way too frequently. I put forth an idea that, not in some like official role to my congressman way. Although maybe that's actually maybe not a bad idea. Maybe not a congressman, but like a city council, state senator, something like that. I might look into that. But the idea was pretty much to have police officers, like beat cops, rookies or whatever, or guys that just want to do overtime or something like that, have them do community outreach, like direct community outreach, not print out a flyer and post it on your precinct's bulletin board and have 15 people show up like in some, what are they called? I used to go to a bunch of these community board meetings where like the same exact people always show up month in and month out. Not that type of thing, but like a direct community outreach type of thing where, although you can have that also, but a direct community outreach type of thing where you go door knocking, you within certain communities that you target for this purpose. And maybe you do the targeting based on the jurisdiction of your precinct. I guess it would have to be if it's the cops doing it, right? Their jurisdiction, just go door knocking and, print out flyers and give it to the people, knock on people's doors, speak to them, speak to kids hanging out in the street that you see and let them, approach them in like a cool, we come in peace type of way. And just to get the dialogue going. And in having that dialogue, I think a lot of misunderstandings can be clarified, and it should yield good results. And explain from the cop's point of view, what the by the book expected response is from a citizen, which we may not expect. A citizen, not we, I'm not a cop, but that a cop might not, like what they deem not hazardous or not harmful or not putting their own lives in danger, which then causes confusion and ultimately results in trigger happy cops and unnecessarily lost lives. And the point is to try to avoid situations like that or try to de-escalate them however we can. And maybe a proactive way to do that is by this type of outreach and trying to find the common ground understanding. On the flip side, citizens can explain their point of view in terms of how they feel, how we feel intimidated and how by cops that are aggressive, and maybe that'll help cops realize that respectfully their jobs obviously are probably the hardest jobs in the world, and they have to be hyper vigilant at all times. They never know what they're walking into. They could be pulling a person over that is a soccer mom or a serial killer, and they have to be ready for the either scenario. So that on edge type of reaction that seems instinctual from cops is somewhat understandable when you look at it from that point of view. And I don't know. I just feel that some sort of dialogue and understanding between citizen and police force can't hurt the situation and might help. And that's enough for me to have wanted to put forth that idea. Anyway, that's a long-winded circling around the point that I wanted to bring up, which is the school that I used to go to, the college that I graduated from, my alma mater, Baruch College. I got an email from a past professor of mine that I keep in touch with, and it's kind of sort of to this point, and it would definitely, I would love to see more events like this, and especially if they yield results. It's an event that's not being put forth by a police department, like in my example, but again, it's to the same sentiment. And the event is being hosted by Baruch College, and it is entitled "What to Do If You Are Stopped by the Police." And two recent Baruch alums, one which is a prosecutor and the other which is a public defender, debate this life and death issue. And it's free to the public. Anybody can go. It's on Thursday, February 16th, 2017, from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And the address for Baruch College, which you guys can Google, but I'll give it to you now anyway, and will also be found in the episode notes, is 55 Lexington Avenue, New York, 10010. It's going to be held in room 2-125 in the vertical campus, for anybody that's familiar. And yeah, I think it'll be, things like this like I said, can't hurt and might even help, so it's worth a shot. Super Bowl 51. Did you guys check out that game? Now, I saw it at my brother's house, and I think everybody would agree, the first 3 quarters of the game, it was boring and lopsided, surprising that it wasn't that close. The Patriots seemed completely out of sync, and the Falcons were getting every, what you would call in basketball, like lucky roll. I don't know what the equivalent would be in football, but everything was going their way, and they were playing awesome. Julio Jones had some sick catches right on the sideline where he caught the ball and it was like, oh no, he's out of bounds, but he, in fucking textbook form, just put both feet in, like, and he did that shit twice. It was so sick. And they were just dominating. Matty Ice was doing his thing. Had like awesome percentage, catch to throw ratio percentage or whatever. He was like completing everything, and everything was going their way. And the Patriots just look uncharacteristically completely out of sync, completely out of it. And then one of the greatest comebacks in fucking sports history happened after the fourth, and the Falcons were up 28, I want to say, to 3. It was 28 zip and then 28 to 3 eventually. And the Patriots came back in the fourth quarter. Things started gelling a bit. Edelman had this amazing, I think it was Edelman, had this amazing catch that it was like, what the fuck? How'd he catch that? It like looked like it hit the ground. Like he didn't have coverage. I didn't think he had like possession of the ball. He caught it and then let it go, and then before it touched the ground, caught it and like pulled it in again, and it was sick. And Patriots just got completely in sync, and they tied it with 2-point conversions. Also in the last 2 touchdowns, which is what they needed to pull off the tie and make the first game in NFL, the first Super Bowl in NFL history to go to overtime, which was sick. And that first 2-point conversion, by the way, that like kind of like trick play where Brady like pretended he like the ball was hiked to him high by the center, and it was really the I guess the running back that got the ball and like just ran it in right there. That was sick. And then the fourth quarter, the overtime, sudden death overtime, first team to score that's not a field goal wins. The Pats got the ball and they were just like laser sharp, Brady, Brady being Brady, inarguably anymore probably the best quarterback ever, and it was a dope game at the end. It definitely, the way it ended, the way it culminated, definitely made up for the boring first 3 quarters. And that aside, all the commercials was pretty interesting to note. They seemed, every single one, I can't think of one that wasn't, I'm sure there probably were, but every single one that I noticed had like something to do with immigrants and being united and together we're better, and showing how immigrants built this country and all this, which were like subliminal like jabs at Trump, and not, well, I don't want to say at Trump. I think it's more important to note that it's definitely because of Trump, but the jabs are more towards the sentiment that he's allowed to be put forth, that he's put forth himself. He's kind of like fanned the flames of xenophobia and stuff like that I've mentioned in the past, and racism and bigotry and sexism and all that bullshit. But I definitely think it's important to note, and I'm not going to get too deep into this because I want to do, I want the dust to settle a bit. I want the guy to have more than fucking 2.5-3 weeks in office before I start giving opinions on it, or too deep. But based on what we've seen so far, I think it's important to highlight the fact that it's in large part a sentiment that he hasn't helped matters. He kind of invigorated a certain level of this like xenophobic hatred and negativity that was, by all accounts and purposes, percolating under the surface for a lot of people. And he kind of like emboldened people to just be upfront and more open about it, which is not a good thing, definitely. And I think that's the worst part about what's going on. Not so much his, quote unquote executive orders and all the shit he's doing and stuff like that, which when I haven't looked super deep into it, but I've looked more than just like headline deep into it, and they seem to be more theatrics than actually amounting to like practical shit. For example, the whole Muslim ban thing that's going on now. Horrible, disgusting sentiment to put forth, and idea to like kind of put in the zeitgeist of America right now, and stop and ban all Muslims and etc. But then it kind of gets lost in the sexiness of that like salacious type of thing, that it's a 90-day ban that was not a no Muslim can ever step foot in America again type of thing. It's a 90-day overhaul of the system, of the current vetting process of migrants to the U.S., which from a certain standpoint, let's say you take over as a manager for a certain process or something like that, which is essentially what Trump is, right? He's managing, the U.S. and quote unquote, to an extension, the world, or trying to. And you get in to this position, it's not far-fetched, or at least to me, it's kind of sort of understandable to be like, you know what? All this shit that you guys have going on for the past 8 years, let's pause it. We're going to stop everything. Just fucking stop. There's a new sheriff in town. I'm going to do shit differently. I'm going to do shit my way. I need to understand what's going on. All these moving parts need to like pause for 90 days, and then we're going to figure shit out, and then I'm going to implement, whatever it is that I'm going to implement, which is that's the part that we have to be weary about and pay careful attention to. Not get lost in the fluff of it while he's like slides in, let's say, a real, permanent Muslim ban or like some sick shit like that. What was sloppy, what was detrimental to the whole thing is the sloppy way that he went about it, because Trump is not the polished, Bill Clintons or Barack Obamas and knows how to like sell shit. He's kind of like this frat guy, ogre, orange, fucking gruff motherfucker that's like, I'm doing this and that's it, and America. And he kind of has like that type A, I'm gonna get shit done my way or the highway type of personality. And he put forth things in such a, like, I'm just throwing it out there, like such a sloppy way that caused disharmony between the agencies that should have been working together to make sure that it was a smooth process, and that people didn't get lost in the shuffle of this 90-day ban. People that legally had the right to be here, like immigrants that had visas, they got, kind of put in the category of, no, you can't come in. And that's 100% having to do with his sloppy approach to certain things and, unplanned, I'm just going to force this shit in type of approach, which doesn't seem long-term sustainable to me. That said, because I don't want to get too bogged down on this Trump shit, but I definitely will revisit the whole Trump thing because, I'm into politics and stuff like that. And I did I think it was definitely, Donald J. Trump is the name of the episode. I don't remember which number it is, but it was a few episodes ago. I did an episode completely on Trump, and I think it was before he won, or maybe right when he won, or something like that. Probably before he won. Anyway, go check it out. And then I guess I should check that shit out too, and then we'll compare the two down the line. But before I do, I just wanted to play this clip for you guys of Bill Clinton back when he was president, speaking about the same exact topic of immigration.
Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
That, by the way, got a standing congressional ovation from both sides of Congress. Now, I think it's important to note, and I'm just going to close with this, on this topic, that I bring it up to show the difference between two types of approaches to the same problem of immigration. And it's, the gruff, rough Trump style, which ultimately wound up hurting people that it shouldn't hurt. And the way that Clinton was selling it, where he made sure to highlight that it's not just immigrants, it's criminal immigrants with a criminal record. Those are the ones that they're trying to keep out. Illegal aliens, not legal ones, not legal immigrants, etc. However, he's talking about the same topic, the same shit. More border security, hiring more border troops. Trump's version is a fucking wall. Deporting illegals, etc. Anyway, that's just some food for thought. And the next topic before the free writing piece, it's going to be a short episode. The next topic is, and the last topic is, Project Empathy's virtual reality work. Now, oh, by the way, the Clinton piece I put in the episode notes in case you guys want to check it out, or just Google it. It's on YouTube. The Project Empathy virtual reality work. This is I find it so dope and so promising and so like futuristic and cool. And like I'm putting like a lot of stock in it, personally, in like the future being like VR and stuff like that. I don't know if it's because I read Ready Player One, which is one of my favorite fiction books ever. I mentioned it to you guys in the past, and that's all about like virtual reality, but like morphed with reality. And it's like in the future, but not too far into the future. So it's like, it seems very plausible, you know what I mean? And then plus when I see stuff like this, like the Samsung goggles and the HTC Vives, and PlayStation has its own version, and etc. And all these emerging technologies within the virtual reality space. There's podcasts now that are done in like virtual reality. The one of like Duncan Trussell and Drew Carey that I mentioned to you guys in the previous episode, a free writing episode, that was done completely in virtual reality with the people that were asking questions within the virtual reality space. So it was kind of like they were there like in an audience type of thing. Seeing all these like emerging technologies makes the story within Ready Player One, which is, by the way, going to be made into a movie. It just makes it seem that much more plausible. And it's like, yeah, we're definitely headed in that direction. Anyway, Project Empathy, virtual reality work, and I'll link to the website in the episode notes as well. You guys definitely should check it out. Basically what it is, and I'll actually, let me read from their site directly. Who could say what they're about better than them, right? All right, this is directly from their website. Combining technology with social justice. For the first time in history, virtual reality, commonly known as VR, gives us an opportunity to more efficiently and sustainably change public perception. A VR experience allows audience members to feel like they are actually in another place and as if they have become another person. It is a 360-degree and 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional view of a new world. Unlike traditional media, VR allows us to be a participant in a new world, not just a viewer. This is the power we are harnessing from Project Empathy. Now they have like Stanford University lab studies and virtual reality stuff that you guys can read about to learn more about understanding virtual reality. But basically, from like the user experience of my own, not with the actual VR, but you guys don't need like VR goggles and shit like that to like check it out. Although that would, I would imagine, make it that much more immersive. And you can go on their website and you can check out these same videos that if you had the VR goggles, you could like just move your head around and look around. But if you're looking at it on screen, you can use your mouse to like look up, down, left, right. And they are currently like working on like these short films regarding the criminal justice system. I think that's the main thing now. But I could definitely see it branching out into other things. And I have actually in other formats. I think Vice, if I'm not mistaken, which I'll get to next, had some sort of like virtual reality thing going on. But anyway, so these VR short films, if you check them out, it's like you could see like prison cells, you could look inside them, and it's real people that really got arrested, and they're like narrating the story for you and telling you like what they did, and showing them, this is where I eat, this is where I sleep. You looking around, you see the cell. Like it's much more, I don't know, you feel more empathetic. Like you're more immersed in the experience, and that adds that, it kind of sort of takes away that disconnect that we feel like right now, drones and shit blowing stuff up in Syria. Like it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind type of thing. I think technology like this will allow us ultimately to be completely immersed within situations enough to empathize with them and understand them better, and then be able to hopefully make them better by using that knowledge for good. There's a short about that shows a little girl at the park with her mom, and her mom is acting weird, and then her mom kind of goes away, and then some DTs come and lock up the mom, take her under arrest, and the little girl's like trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Then she finds out that her mom was a drug dealer. Then her mom winds up getting 18 years in prison, and then it shows the girl, and you are the girl, like in the little short. Like you're seeing it like through her eyes, and the little girl saying, the first time I went to go see my mom in prison, and blah blah blah. And you're sitting down in prison, and you're looking around, and you could see the couple next to you having a conversation. You could hear their conversation. Then your mom walks in, and she sits down, and she starts talking to her, and you look to your left, and you can see the guard there, and you look up, down, you see the fluorescent lights, and the whole nine. Like, you feel like you're there. It would be so dope to try it out with actual like VR goggles. And I don't know, I think it's dope. I'm definitely bullish on the like technology in and of itself, and it seems very promising and dope. What I wanted to mention about Vice is, I believe Vice. I want to give credit to Vice, because I definitely think it was them. But there was a piece, and if it wasn't them, maybe somebody out there hit me up and let me know who it was. But there was some sort of news outlet that was in Syria, I believe Syria, but somewhere in the Middle East, and they were exploring VR technology options to be able to, and the way they were describing it was to be able to go like in the middle of a Syrian refugee camp, and you see the little kids running around, they're looking for scraps of food, and things blowing up around them, and seeing how they actually live, and the parents trying to protect them, and then the soldiers fighting and bullets going, like all that type of shit, and experiencing stuff like that through virtual reality. And it's a different way to present the news, not just through a camera or through explaining through the third person. But imagine putting on like a set of goggles or a headset or something like that, looking around, and you look to your left, and you literally hear fucking bullets going off like right next to you, and you see a little kid fucking his arm get blown off or some like sick shit like that, and like actually experiencing that type of stuff. It's another level. It's another interesting, weird, freaky, awesome, fascinating level of shit that is not only coming, but it's already here. And that is pretty much it about all that stuff. Now, let's get to the free writing. I have a small piece for you guys that I actually wrote recently, and I wanted to share it with you guys, see what you guys think. As always, if you want to read along, you can check out the free writing piece at spuntoday.com/free writing. And the post that I'm reading was posted on the website on February 6th, 2017, and it's titled, "Watch the Ideas Crystallize into Existence." Let me read it and then tell you guys where it came from. You know that piece of procrastination that seems to control you working on your craft? By pointing out and antagonistically asking, what are you going to write about? You have no ideas yet? Spot that resistance. Thanks, Stephen Pressfield. And flip it off. The ideas don't always come before you actually show up to put in the work. If you want, quote, others to put in the work for you, this isn't for you. Sit in front of your half-written manuscript, your blank canvas, and immerse yourself in the world you're trying to create. Then watch the ideas begin to float around you and crystallize into existence. And I physically wrote that in my notebook, one of my notebooks, on Sunday, January 29th, 2017 at 5:46 p.m. Now, where that came from is from somewhere that, if you guys are into writing or probably anything creative, but the only thing I can speak to with any level of experience is writing. And to other like fellow writers out there, we get writer's block like all the time. And Stephen Pressfield, writes about writer's block and a bunch of other obstacles, pretty much blankets them all as resistance. So whether it be different things that come up in your life, different problems, or different, not necessarily problems, just things that you do have to do, those are all forms of resistance, just like at different degrees. You have to go to the doctor for a doctor's appointment. That's a form of resistance because you could be writing. But obviously you can't take that to too much of an extreme and just stay like a hermit in front of your computer or something like that. But you get the idea. And stuff like writer's block and stuff like that is just your mind kind of sort of convincing you by way of you yourself asking yourself shit like, what the hell are you going to write about? You don't have any new ideas, etc. Like I said in that piece, and then kind of like discouraging you from writing. So I kind of like caught myself in that when I was like in that like mind state, or that state of mind rather. And it was like 2 or 3 days that I had gone without writing. And I have after the short story that I put out in the last episode, Elevator, which by the way, quick aside, thank you guys very much for checking that out. The downloads were at probably one of my most downloaded episodes, like single episodes to date. So I definitely appreciate you guys checking that out. But anyway, after writing that, which I wrote like on a little quick 1 week hiatus from the novella / novel that I'm working on, I went back to work on the novel, and it was kind of like writer's block. And I don't know if it had to do with the fact that I kind of like took my mind off of the story and then started working on the Elevator one for a little bit, or if it was just like straight up writer's block or what. But one day I was pretty much like, after a couple of days of, I don't know what to write about, etc. And, I remember like certain principles that people like Stephen King write about in writing, or Anne Lamott wrote about in Bird by Bird, and Stephen Pressfield also in The War of Art, which is just physically show up, sit down, and that's how you get started. It's not like when necessarily you have an idea, although that is a way that a lot of writers, including myself, sometimes are motivated to write. You're watching a movie or just walking and you think of something. Like, for example, those of you that listened to the last Elevator episode, I mentioned that I was literally on the elevator with someone, had a fucking quick 30-second conversation, if you can call it that, a bit of an exchange, back and forth. That's it, off the elevator. And then that sparked the idea for that particular story. And I, jotted it down on my notepad on my phone before I got to my desk to actually like do work and shit like that. And then started working on the story from there. But for larger undertakings like a novel or a novella, then that's where I've seen myself like falling into the writer's block. And I know I'm definitely not alone. It's something I hear about a lot in like podcasts, and there's always like people trying to like sell you shit and how to defeat writer's block for good and blah blah blah. And the most practical thing that I can think of that's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and is just good from a habit forming perspective, behavioral perspective, is by employing that idea of just showing up and sitting down to do the work. Which is why I wrote here at the end of this piece, if you want, quote, others to put in the work for you, this isn't for you. Sit in front of your half-written manuscript, your blank canvas, and immerse yourself in the world you're trying to create. Then watch the ideas begin to float around you and crystallize into existence. So after these like few days of writer's block, I literally just sat down and just started staring at the screen, staring at my half-written manuscript, and started reading a couple lines, and then slowly started, like re-immersing myself into the story, and then from there I wound up writing, from having that writer's block, I wound up writing, I think, like 2 or 3 scenes, which were probably like 1,500 words, or 1,000 to 1,500 words, like in a sitting, and like moved the story along. And since then, I've been working on it daily and continuing to work on it daily and like back in like the groove again. So I thought it was interesting that I like caught myself in that. I know it's something that we, all of us struggle with from time to time, and definitely will again, but it's just a matter of kind of like meditation. I liken it to meditation a little bit, where the point of meditation is to be able to calm your mind down enough and focus like on your breath, for example. But the focusing on your breath is the mechanism that helps calm your mind down. And then once you notice that you start thinking about other things and replaying in your head events from the day, or thinking about stuff that you have to do later on, once you notice that, that's when the point of meditation is to realize that, and then just bring it back to the point where you can like still the mind again and just focus on your breath again, and just continue doing that. And it's like a continual practice. So similarly, when you notice that writer's block, when you notice that resistance pretty much telling you that you have no ideas, you have nothing to write about, so don't even bother going to your computer, etc., realize that for what it is, and bring yourself back to your writer's chair and sit in front of your screen, or grab a pen and paper and notebook and wait. And physically wait, and read over your manuscript, or read over whatever it is that's in front of you that you're working on, or start free writing. Free writing is kind of like, to me, it's kind of like a cheating way to write. And I love free writing for that reason, because it comes so, I don't know, it's like the hardest, easiest thing. Like Joey Diaz says about comedy, that comedy is to him, it's like the hardest, easiest thing he can do. I kind of feel that way about free writing, because it literally is, you sit down, even if you start writing, I don't know what's right, you're working those writing muscles just by doing that, like physically, behaviorally moving your pen on a piece of paper. And then, your mind naturally wanders, so thoughts are going to start coming out, and that's going to lead to something else, and it's going to spark shit, and works every single time. So if you're looking for a little cheat to make yourself write, maybe it's not the writing on the story, for example, that you're trying to write and work on. Do a little free writing exercise, and write a paragraph or two about whatever the fuck. The wall is fucking green and white right now, and there's an X and a check on my calendar on day 5 and 6, and on day 7 I gotta blah blah blah, and then stuff just starts flowing, and yeah, that's pretty much it, folks. That is, again, if you guys want to check out that little writing piece, it's very short, it's like a paragraph long. It's at spuntoday.com/free writing, and it is titled "Watch the Ideas Crystallize into Existence." And hopefully you guys can begin to do that. And that's it, folks. I promise you guys a shorter episode this week, and it's a little shorter. That is the full episode. Now I'm just gonna do some housekeeping and mention to you guys a few ways that you can help support the podcast. So if you want to stick around and listen to some background music, feel free to do so. And if not, thanks for listening up until this point, and I'll catch you in a couple weeks when the next episode comes out. So, a big way that you guys can help support the podcast, which actually help not just the podcast, but my writing and my ability to continue doing it, and doing it even more frequently in terms of the podcast and writing and putting out content, is by a bunch of different ways that I'm going to mention. The first way is by checking out my weekly newsletter. It's called the Midday Monday Newsletter. And if you guys want to check it out, you can go to spuntoday.com/subscribe. It will not cost you anything. And something that I did, actually, I updated my website a couple days ago. And if you go on spuntoday.com/subscribe, you no longer have to take my word for it and wonder what it is, and think, do I want to sign up to this thing? Do I not? Although if you did, you can just drop your email address in and sign up to it. And all you're going to get is one email from me a week. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't, you literally click on subscribe and you're done. But if you want to check them out and physically see exactly what you will be emailed, go to spuntoday.com/subscribe. And at the very bottom of the page, it says, not sure yet? No worries. Check out the back catalog here. Click on the word here. It's going to take you to a list of all previous Midday Monday boost letters that have gone out. There have been, I think to date, 40 something different ones, I believe. And it keeps a log of a bunch of probably like 15, 20. Maybe there's a way to see all of them, but you can see at least 15, 20 different ones. And just click on them. It'll open up and it'll show you what the people that are currently subscribed to the Midday Monday boost letter receive every Monday at noon. And pretty much what it is a photo of the week, which is usually a featured photographer that I follow on Instagram, and I give them a shout out on there when I post one of their photos. A podcast of the week that I'm recommending that I've heard recently that I thought was dope and that I wanted to share with you guys. A video of the week, same thing. A cool video that I saw that I feel that other people may enjoy as well. And it could be anything from a battle rap to a comedy skit to a TED Talk, etc. A quote of the week, just to give you a bit of insight and motivation, and pretty much just a quote, like a food for thought quote, because they're not always like motivational and inspirational, although I lean in that direction. But it's usually like food for thought type of quote. And a word of the week. Those 5 things. And again, check it out if you guys are interested at spuntoday.com/subscribe. It's completely free. You can unsubscribe at any time if you don't like it. Next, another way to support the podcast is to check out my free questionnaire to fill out. Now, it's a questionnaire geared towards writers, but really anybody that's creative can fill it out. And what it is 5 open-ended questions. For example, how do you get yourself to sit down and do your work when you're not motivated to? That's literally one of the questions. And you fill this form out, answer the 5 questions, which is the form. The form is just your name and the email address and the name to the 5 questions. And what I do is read your responses on a future episode of the podcast and share your tips, tricks, and insight with the other listeners. And I also give you a shout out unless you check off that you want to remain anonymous. So check that out at spuntoday.com/questionnaire. If you're into photography at all or just want to see some dope pics, maybe you're not a photographer yourself, but just want to see some cool pictures of stuff, go to spuntoday.com/photography, and I have a bunch of pictures on there that I think are pretty cool, like pictures like from my Chichen Itza trip and road trip to Savannah, Georgia, and Philadelphia and Florida, just like in the park here in New York and Queens and Forest Park, just India, a bunch of pictures of India. I forgot about those. I'm like scrolling through them right now. DR, a bunch of pictures of DR for the last couple times that I went, and Massachusetts, New York, Williamsburg, Willie B. Just a bunch of cool pictures that I've taken that are completely available for free. If you guys want to check them out on the site and download them digitally, you can also order prints of the photography, any of the photography that's on there, by going to crated.com. Those are not free. But if you go to crated.com/Spun Today, you can order prints of any of this photography or just download them for free from my website at spuntoday.com/photography. Now, those are all ways that you can help support me and the podcast just by showing your support. And it's completely free. It doesn't cost you shit. What else? Now, another way that you can help support the podcast financially, but it will also not cost you anything, but it does support me financially. How does that work? By shopping on Amazon, which you do. I know you do. because there's billions of people that do. Billions? Hundreds of millions? I don't know. Tens of millions? There's a bunch of motherfuckers that shop on Amazon. And if you're listening to a podcast, you probably shop on Amazon, and you know where I'm headed with this. If you go to my website, spuntoday.com/affiliate links, here on this page, you will find each and every way that you can help support the podcast financially. And the way Amazon works is that if you click on the Amazon banner that is located again on my page at spuntoday.com/affiliate links, it will take you to Amazon's website. Then you do your shopping like normal. It does not cost you anything extra, but Amazon, just for driving traffic to their site, hooks me up with a couple pennies on the dollar based on your purchases, but from their end of it. And what else? You can support via Patreon. You can become a Spun Today Patreon supporter by going to patreon.com/spuntoday and choose to donate $1 or $2 or $3 or $4 or whatever you want per episode. I put out traditionally 2 episodes per month. Sometimes it's 3 for those weird months that have like 5 weeks in it, kind of, because the first day starts off on a Thursday or something like that, and I put these episodes out every other Thursday. So you get the drift. Basically, it's 2 episodes per month. So if you choose to pledge, for example, $1 per episode via Patreon, it would be greatly appreciated, and it would literally just cost you $2 per month to help support the Spun Today podcast financially. You also have an iTunes affiliate link page, banner rather, on my page, which works just like the Amazon one. You have links to my viral style store, which you can use to check out a couple of these Spun Today t-shirts, coffee mugs, stuff like that. Check them out. I actually put out a couple new t-shirts that I actually like. Not that I didn't like the other ones, but, well, I did do a couple that I didn't like, and I actually removed them from the store. I designed them myself. I'm no Yeezy, no fucking clothing designer over here. They're just t-shirts with, I don't know, cool ideas or whatever that, at least that I thought were cool, that I came up with. Like one that says, writing is life, and it shows kind of like the pulse meter, like behind it, like beep, 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 get it? Another one is, it says right need every day, instead of smoke weed every day. Instead of that, it says right need every day, with like a kind of like a puff of smoke behind it. And I thought that was pretty cool. So that's one. Then you have the traditional podcast logo, t-shirt, etc. So check that out. Anyway, the link to the my merch store, quote unquote, is at spuntoday.com/affiliate links, and you can go to it directly if you just go to viralstyle.com/store/spuntoday/Tony Ortiz. That sounds harder than just going to spuntoday.com/affiliate links and clicking on the t-shirt. Last way to support financially would be to buy my book. I wrote a book, ladies and gentlemen, and it is available at wherever ebooks are sold, on iBooks, on Kindle, on Smashwords, on Kobo, on this, on that, wherever you read an ebook. I'm pretty sure it's available on that platform. If it's not, hit me up and let me know so I can submit it to it. And if not, and if you don't want the ebook, you want an actual physical book, if you're old school like that, then go to Amazon.com and just search for my name or the book title, which is Make Way for You, Tips for Getting Out of Your Own Way, and you can get a paperback copy of the book. Also, if you go to my books landing page, which is spuntoday.com/books, you get a synopsis of the book. There you get a few audio excerpts which are completely free, so you can get an idea of what the book is and what it's about, and see if it's the type of thing that you'd be into before purchasing it. And also, to you fine folks, I actually offer a PDF copy of the book, which isn't as cool and interactive as the like the Kindle or iBooks version, but it is the complete book. I offer it via in a PDF format via my website. If you just sign up with your email address at spuntoday.com/books, at the bottom of the page, drop in your email address and I'll send you a copy of the book. All I ask is that if you do get it that way or any other way, you rate and review the book either on Amazon or on Goodreads or whatever platform it is that you read books on. And if you find it helpful, obviously like anything else, please spread the word. If it motivates and inspires you in any way, then it's fulfilled its purpose. Lastly, rate and review the podcast wherever you guys listen to podcasts, whether it's on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Pocket Casts, or anywhere and everywhere that podcasts are listened to. And wherever you're listening to it now, I really appreciate it. Definitely continue listening and spread the word, rate and review it. I really appreciate it. And that's pretty much it, folks. That is episode 66 of the Spun Today podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Tony Ortiz. And as always, substitute the mysticism with hard work and start taking steps in the general direction of your dreams. Thanks for listening.